Hey guys, Chief Fruity here with the first BTS of Dropping Hard. So, I'm pretty excited for this, and yeah, it's like, you can probably tell. Whoa, a crash was queued up. So, anyways, this is the project of Dropping Hard right here, and I'm pretty excited to show you all what I did with this track and kind of it's like some stuff behind it. So right off at the beginning, you can see it starts off with this hit right here, and that is done with a kick, which is this kick. So the kick for this song, I put it onto track 1 on the mixer here. It has some just a little bit of reverb. You see the wetness is just a little bit up right there, and that was part of the hit. What else do I have in the hit? I have a crash and a ride. So the crash was on track 5, no effects on there, about standard volume, and on track 6 is the ride, no effects, standard volume. So those are just straight up cymbals. And then for the pads right here, I want to get a little more into detail for these pads. So that is the pad loop, and you can tell they're chords from G to A to E to F. No, from G to A to F to E. F and E are pretty similar. Well, not really, but they're just so next to each other. So this is the plug-in here, and this song is in G, by the way, which you probably knew. Well, maybe some of you didn't. It has a little bit of chorus, some unison, some harmonies there. Frequency's halfway, because if it's full, like this is the frequency halfway, and then when the frequency's full, like it really messes with the pitch, so that's why you need it halfway. And then if it's any less than that, like it sounds really watery. So it needs, for the crispness, it needs to be like right, straight up and down, to be like that. The volumes are pretty even down here, about 75% on these plug-in volumes. Obviously it doesn't have any distortion. It has some delay, which you can kind of hear. And this is on track 18 of the mixer. And on this, it has full 100% reverb, and also has some DEC and bass. So the bass, gets it pretty good to fill up the pads. Also, it's got more reverb right here. For this reverb mapper, this is 0%, and then it goes to 100% over here. So these are like different ways in between. So this is full for that reverb. So 2 100% reverbs. And on the EQ, it has higher lows to really get the bass out there. Because with pads, I like them to be low toned, so they really fill up. Like with here, the bass is up right there. And on the EQ, the lows are up there. So that's for the pads. Also, I got this noise right here. So I'll mute the track right here, and you can hear this at the very beginning. And that goes right along with this hit right here. They both go to get like a good slam into the song. But it's kind of hard to hear that when there's the pads. Like you can kind of hear it, but not really. So then when it rises up with this reversed cymbal, which I really like these. Basically, you just take a cymbal over here, just click reverse, and it makes the reversed one. So the pads are the exact same. The only difference between this section here and this section is this ride cymbal that's hitting quarters. And I already showed you the ride sample. It's really basic. There's like no additives, no effectives, so it's like so it's good. Like, it's your organic ride, if you can understand that. And then hits on every other beat or every other little bar here. I tend to do that, you know, like those little slams every once in a while. It really, like, you know, if you listen to it, like it really gets the song to flow. Like, without those, it's kind of boring. Yeah, just these, they make it stand out a lot better. And then right here, when I introduce this first verse here, you know, there's noise buildup. So that muted. Yeah. So I can go into this noise right now. This noise was done in GMS. Really, it's just the default GMS with the noise right here turned all the way to 100%. It's on track 14, no effects, just boosting the volume. That was all I was doing, as well as the amount output is all the way up. So that's the noise. This is just the filter cutoff, which is automating this right here at the cutoff. So that's the noise. And then there's this little snare here. So see how it right here, how the snare hits right in between both cymbals. It gives like a good lead in to the verse. I use those a lot. And then with this little kick, it's like a tap, and then it starts. So right here, that was made in this plugin. This plugin's called Harmore, though. So it's a pretty basic saw wave, really. Just the harmonies, the pitches is up really high, but the note is playing a mildly low, so it's kind of like a stretched, forced down. That's why the pitch is so high and the note's down low. So it like stretches it and then puts it down a little bit. So it gives it that good. Basically it right there. So yeah, and then it goes into the bass line, as well as it hits the drums. So the bass line right here, so that bass line pretty much is following the pads exactly. The only difference is that there's only one note. It's not the chords. So that's why I layered those. Normally you don't want to layer them, because I wanted to layer them to really get that pattern really defined. As well as I also put another bass, since I wanted that pattern to be defined, but I also wanted something else to kind of contrast it, so I made this sub right here. And you probably didn't even hear that at all in the mix. Like, you can try, but like, you don't hear it at all. And then the drums, you know, just pretty basic stuff there. Playing eighth notes half-timed, which is what the normal dubstep drums are. So, and then it basically just repeats that. It goes into this and the ARP. So that is that. And then here, when it goes into this little bridge or downfall, it, you know, the noise goes in, and then the ride comes back. And I put the ride in there because when it's, you know, when it's like this, it's like, it's really empty, because after hearing these drums, you know, that without having any percussion at all is really empty. So I put in the ride cymbals, and it kind of, you know, kind of holds it and brings it and keeps it going until you get to the rise. And the first bass sounds are going right here, so I'll just get these playing, and just, so that's how this is made. And I'll touch base on all the bass sounds when we get into the drop, which is right there, but yeah, you'll see that later. So the ARP, it keeps getting faster here, so I'll mute this track and just play this. So you see it's building. does that little one beat and then it drops. So the bass line was my main riser here. So I used this slide note right here and it raised it 1 octave. So that was that, and now it's time to get into these kicks. So the kicks were also speeding up, the ride was staying the same. Quarters, 16ths, 30 seconds. And then there's this little vocal, which is like really quick, and then it does the snare, like the snare little pop like. That was the vocals, not the snare. But yeah, so now, you know, it just does like the, that's the octave over here. Like, just does one of those, like this. And it goes into the drop. So this is where the actual dubstep is, right here, the drop. So I'll just go through this for a little bit. So that's basically the drop. And then the noise, you see the noise comes down, and I'm going to touch base into these sounds now. So it's basically, you know, like, it's really just a sub, but not really. So, like, listen. So I'm playing a G right here. Yeah, this is the G. You know, that just sounds like pure sub. If you can't hear that, that's because you don't have good enough speakers. And yeah. So basically, this is the bass here. And then this is the filter. And this is using operator 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 is going through 5, and then 5 is going through 2, 3 is going through 2, and 2 is going through 1 to the output, and operator 6 is going right to the output without being engaged to kind of just go right out. So this 6 through the 5 can go to the out. So that is pretty much it there. It's got 3 voices of unison. And basically that just gets it more in harmony. So this was the G I was using. And then without these unison voices, you know, it's kind of like, it still has some harmony because I have a chorus enabled in the mixer, and I'll show you that right now. So this is the bass here, and here's the chorus. Oh, I need to engage this cutoff. So basically the chorus just got it. So without the chorus and without the EQ and without this unison, this is what it's like. So it's kind of boring. So some unison, some chorus, some EQ, pulled up some lows / mids there. Kind of popped it out a little bit more. So that is this blue bass. So the drop with a solo of this blue bass, which is the main bass, would just be like this. And like, it's still pretty groovy, but you know, not as much as this. So now touching bass into this bass. This was actually a preset I got. No, it's 1 octave too low. That's right here. And this is actually a preset I got. For those of you who don't know what a preset is, it's basically just a pre-saved sound. Though I made some changes to it. Not in here. I'm pretty sure I left all of this the same. I might have done some local EQ changes though, and maybe some global EQ changes, but I don't really remember because I made this so long ago. And there's nothing on here, so it's basically just a straight up sound going with filter cutoff and playing that sound. Well, that sound soloed, and the drop would be like this. So it's kind of empty because this is just a filler sound as well as this sound right here. Now this sound plays at a lower pitch, maybe not on one of the octaves here. Actually, I'll just go and look here. I was playing a G6, it's octave high. So it's right here, and this sound I made 100% from scratch. So this one took a little while. I used all 6 of these operators, all going through operator 1. Because the operator 1 I wanted to use as like a sample one. Like with this other bass, I didn't want it for that. But for these other ones, they all were going through 1, which is basically like their influence. I guess you could say that. Or I could, like, you're not saying anything. So with operator 4, 5, and 6, they all are very low pitch ratios. Actually, all of these are. They're 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 1, and then 0.1, 0.1. So 4 has the 1, and really there's just to get the sine wave to pop a little bit more on like the 4th wave. And this sound without any effects on it, without any of these, would sound like this. This is just a straight up plug-in right here. And you're like, that's not super interesting, so I put some EQ. And really popped out those lows. Like those lows are popped out. And then I put on some effector, and this is the distortion, which is 100% distortion. And that really pops the sound, as well as some chorus to bring the distortion down. Now normally, if you use distortion, like 100% like that, you'd want some compression, but the sound didn't need compression, so I just turned the volume down. Compression is what normally shrinks the sound to be less intense, so it sticks in with the rest of the sound. So now if you play the drop, probably makes more sense. And all these automation clips down here are automating cutoff. As well, there's the noise going down, and I have a sub bass loop just with a pitch drop of an octave, because I wanted to get a little bit more bassy, because these don't have a lot of sub since they're being modulated so much. And then just a default drum loop, so I'll just play the drums here. So I made that loop, and I kept just repeating that same one. Every bar, it's a different sequence for each one of these individual bars, but each one of these is copied over to the next one. So now that's for the drop, and then for drop B, which goes right here, I just made some changes to some stuff. Like, see this one, originally this lead sound, which is right here. So each 2 of these little cubes, I copied them, repasted, and then made a little bit of changes. So right here, this little loop, which for me it's right there, for you it's probably somewhere over there, somewhere down there, and I really copied that. See how this lead sound, which is the same lead sound, so this lead sound is the same as this lead sound. Oh, I went into it. And basically this one is just a little bit longer. So see, there's this one, and then going into this one, which is the same sound, it's just a little bit longer to make the drop be a little bit more interesting. Now, because I made that longer, I had to make this sound shorter, so it's a little bit shorter. And then, but it doesn't matter too much. And then this one also got longer, and then this one got shorter, and then these two stayed the same. So it's basically that same thing is looped, and this is the very same bass from the drop that's in here. So if it sounded the same to you, you know why. And then from there, it just goes into the downfall right here. Automation clip is automating the highs of this clip, which basically is making the volume go down. That's basically what it's doing. So anyways, to the second rise, there's really nothing different here until you get to the drop. So I already really covered that. And then in the drop here, I think it's the same actually. Oh yeah, I made some changes. This is a pitch. It has a slide note. And it doesn't go exactly to the next note. It goes to a minor. So, you know, I want to do that so it kind of gets a little bit of detune. So it sounds pretty cool for the drop. And then, fun fact, this is a little bit different than the other one. This one is a normal growl, and then this one is more of a spiked, kind of filthy growl. The second little one right there. I don't know if you can hear that, but it starts halfway up with the automation. Just, you know, little details like that make it more interesting. And it has the same noise in drop there, and then that is drop, and then there's drop B here. I didn't title it though because it should be the exact same. I think I just copied it over, and then it goes. This verse is different. Keyboard's right here if you can't see it, so keep messing on it. So this verse is pretty different. So this is the normal lead that you were hearing from the past, but again. But I copied it and I pasted it an octave higher to kind of fill it up more. And the reason I did that is so the second verse is a little bit more hard hitting because yeah, I don't want it to be weak towards the very end of the song. And then I added in these plucks. So get a load of these. So you probably can't hear those very well in the mix, but it's got a lot of reverb, some delay, and very slight EQ. And those plucks were made in Harmor. That was just some random playing. And I made this sound too from scratch. So I put up all the harmonies, both the stir, the widths, and the amount. To really get this harmonized. And then it goes to a sine wave. But the pluck is about, looks like 49%, 48 or 49% right there. So it fades out. Because I didn't want like a filling sound that would just overwhelm everything. Just a little, like a little pluck, you know. The project in full down here for dropping hard. Yeah, and this is the mixer I used. So all the drums, chords, bass lines, leads, so that's the dubstep bass, some noise, bass, plucks, pads, and the vocals are at track 20. So that is it for dropping hard, and I'm gonna do a BTS for distorted pretty soon. So yeah, that was it for this video, and thank you all for watching. This is my second channel, so if you haven't checked out my main channel, it'll be in the description below. And on there I post the songs. Like, you could find this song on there if you haven't seen it already. So